Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are here to discuss the Valley Season 2 Reunion Part 3. That's a mouthful. That is a mouthful, but we made it through. Honestly, I'm eating my words. I'm eating my words. I told y'all I would do it. I thought that I was entertained all three parts of this reunion. Now, that doesn't mean that every series on this network needs a three-part reunion. I'm just saying this one time that they were fine with a three-part reunion, not a 90-minute special. But nevertheless, what I would like to see next season from the Valley, and I feel like we might because she won't be as protected because Jax won't be there. I'd like to see Brittany face some of the repercussions of her messiness, right? Because certain things came out during this reunion when it comes to, did you tell me not to be friends with Zach, from Janet to her, and she's like, yeah, you did. And then we see that when Janet is trying to make a case for Danny's shitty behavior when he's drunk, Janet says there are other people on this stage who feel that way. Everybody's looking around like, what? Then we're like, Brittany, did you want to say something? And what she has to say is, on my birthday, you were following me around and you were kind of being annoying. Well, baby girl, that's different. That's different from making somebody feel completely uncomfortable and playing grab ass. And what it felt like for me personally, listening to Janet and Jason talk about their issues with Danny, it sounds like we're talking about two different things, right? I am not going to sit here and argue that Danny clearly gets out of control when he drinks, whether it be touching people inappropriately or just being straight up annoying, maybe like a close talker or something like that. However, Janet and Jason were making it sound like every time he gets drunk, he touches somebody inappropriately. And listen, I only need one time. All right, how I see Danny is forever tarnished because of what he did to Jasmine and Melissa. That is just me. I don't think that people get drunk and touch people and say creepy things unless that's already within them. However, for me, I just think that what Janet and Jason are trying to conflate with Jasmine and Melissa's incident to drive their point home. And I'm always going to have an issue with that, because as soon as Jasmine and Jason had an issue, him and Janet, too many J names, him and Janet used it against Jasmine and be like, well, we stood up for you. Well, if you guys think that Danny's behavior is so atrocious, it should not matter whether or not you are beefing with Jasmine or not. Like, I cannot. Janet and Jason play a lot of semantics, and I realized it during this last part of the reunion. It feels like Janet and Jason are like, well, Danny has done this really terrible thing, because it was terrible. Why should we talk about any other behavior except for that one? Well, y'all are spending time on FaceTime with Jax Taylor after knowing the terrible things he's done and making excuses for him. Janet seems to be a very sly, sneaky woman, and her husband being a lawyer just adds another level to her sneakiness, in my personal opinion. And it also seems like Janet and Jason are having issues walking some things back, right? Because again, they're relying on the fact that Danny did do that really fucked up thing to Jasmine and Melissa. Instead of being like, okay, we don't agree with the way Danny behaves when he's drunk. However, we can hear what you all are saying and try and taking account. The reunion is for everybody to try and take accountability and move forward so we can move into a next season. And it feels like Janet and Jason just want people to be like, you guys are right, we're so wrong, you do nothing, we're sorry. Like, no. Like I said, Janet is a really sneaky way of doing things. I do think that she's Karen. I think that when that question was asked at the reunion, like, do y'all think she's a Karen? One, I think it doesn't help that we have Kristen on stage who was caught doing Karen things, right? Calling the police on a black woman because she slept with Brittany's boyfriend, Jax. And she knows the weight of being called a Karen. But Janet does behave very caringly, even when she jokes about things like being a terror, when she jokes about how she made her mom give her the master bedroom because she was scared of her. Like, that's Karen behavior. I do believe the way she behaved at the beach when they were talking to Janet was Karen-like as well. That's how I say it. And I think that when she is met with conflict, no matter who it's from, not just a black person or a person of color, she's very like, the way she behaves. I also feel like Janet is approaching this in a very Sheena-esque way, right? Where she's like, people, I know I'm not well liked. I have like the self-awareness enough to know that I'm not well liked, and that's okay. But I'm still here. I'm a part of this cast. And actually, I'm not really that bad compared to the rest of these people on this cast. That's just how I see it. And to be honest, I agree with Kristen when she said, no one gives a fuck, Janet. Like, no one cares about Janet and Jason enough to really start digging into whether or not he takes his ring off when he goes out, right? I understand that they think it's like super defamatory, or they want to believe that it's super defamatory. Yeah, defamatory is the word. Whatever. I don't have a law degree. But it's just not. Kristen was telling them the truth. I think, you know, like I said, Janet wants people to care more. She's tried to make it a thing. And I was actually really happy that Andy was like, we had seemingly put this to bed and y'all said that y'all didn't care and you were like relieved about it. And then all of a sudden it was an issue. Yes, because Janet was trying to make it one. Last season, Janet was pregnant and she got away with cradling that baby bump, starting fires, little fires everywhere, and then being like, I'm pregnant, you can't say that to me, which I find funny because her husband was talking to the two pregnant women crazy on stage, like probably the craziest out of everybody, but whatever. And now she's still trying to like get away with doing little things and being like, I don't understand why the vim for me. And like I've said before, she's taking this whole you're a fan thing so out of context. Plenty of people have been fans of the show and then been on the show. Do I personally think that Janet befriended the VPR cast to be able to get on the show? No. I think that she was a fan of the show. She saw them out and she was like, oh my God, hi. She befriended them because she wanted to be friends with the people that were on the show that she liked. Which, side note, I don't know how well known this is. I'm not gonna like say any names, but notoriously the Vanderpump Rules cast is really, really easy to infiltrate. Like, they will, if you walk up to them and get drunk with them, they will be your friend. They will be your friend. Please do not, I don't want people to think like it's some like covert, like, hey, what's up? Like, no, they love attention. They will befriend almost anybody, even the ones you wouldn't think. I've heard many of firsthand stories. I know people personally who have infiltrated the group. Like, let's be for real, right? It's not hard to befriend those people, but right place, right time. Anyways, she could lean into it, right? Kind of like Zach does. And he says, I've always wanted to be on reality TV. Or she can keep trying to make it a thing, but I don't suggest she keep trying to make it a thing. I also had to hand it to Danny because Jason's sitting there fighting all of Janet's battles saying like, oh, are we the only people who watch the season, You watched the season as her husband. And I will give Janet and Jason this, right or wrong, they present a united front. They always have each other's backs. Jason is always going to have his wife's back, as he should. As he should, all right? That's a good husband. And like I said earlier, the reunion is to mend things over and try and move forward. I didn't love that when Janet and Jasmine were like kind of talking through things and kind of getting somewhere, Kristen was like, you do talk shit about Jasmine in the group chat. Correct. Everything before now, like null and void. All of y'all talk shit about each other, right? So like, Kristen, come on now. I didn't think that Jasmine was being fake. I just thought she was talking from her point of view because Jasmine got a lot of shit this season about the Danny and Nia of it all and how she was acting and people saying that she was bringing stuff up for clout. Now, when it comes to trying to think about how I want to say this. Actually, I'll just say it. This is my channel. I do think that when it comes to what Janet was saying of, like, Jasmine said, these guys get away with this terrible behavior and no one checks them on it. I guess she said that about Danny. If we were talking about anybody besides Danny who's connected to Nia, I think Kristen would agree with that, right? It's just because Nia is now Kristen's little pet and they've had this bond, which is fine, whatever, that she is going to disagree with that. And that's what I don't fuck with. They're not, Jasmine and Janet are not wrong in that sense. I've said it about the guys on Vanderpump Rules. I'm going to say it about the guys on The Valley. Those men have gotten away with so freaking much. So freaking much. And the women, no matter which ones, are nitpicked. I think all of the women that have been on Vanderpump Rules and now The Valley have been unfairly judged by the masses because of shit that the guys get them into. However, that does not mean that they don't do anything wrong, right? So, not to stay on Janet, but she's a topic of conversation this part of the reunion. Janet does, in my eyes, little immature things that I feel like if it were me would drive me nuts as well, right? So, previously, in the other parts of the reunion, we saw her say, like, I've never told Brittany to not be friends with Zach. And Brittany's like, yes, you have. And then you took down my birthday post when you found out that I was hanging out with Zach. And she's like, well, you told me that you were taking a break from him. That's immature, right? Same thing, fast forward to this part of the reunion when we're talking about Ariana's birthday, apparently. And Kristen ended up asking Janet if it were cool if she were in her home because Ariana's birthday or party or whatever was being hosted at Janet's house. If I care about somebody, if somebody is my good friend, which Kristen and Ariana are, and they have been even before Janet, from what I understand. If we have a mutual friend, but we beef, I am going to put on my big girl pants and text that person and be like, hey, I know that we are not in the best place. However, you are hosting our mutual friend's birthday. Are you okay with me being in your home, even though our relationship is a little weird right now? That's called being mature. But then Janet, I feel like Janet's closeness with some of the favored Vanderpump Rules cast, she thinks should buy her certain, like, I don't want to say privileges, but popularity maybe, because she's like, Ariana is well loved and she really likes me and she likes me enough to have her birthday party at my house. I don't really know like all the details that went into that. I'm just assuming from what they said on the show. And you know, I hang out with these people and they're cool and I saw that their friend Logan was saying like the fan hate for Janet is too much. It feels like they're trying to influence people. And again, I want to be very clear. I don't agree with people sending Janet threats in any way, shape, or form. I don't agree with anybody sending her any message, or anybody for that matter, right? Like, leave those people alone. But it feels like she's trying to wield her closeness to the popular Vanderpump Rules cast to gain some type of popularity, and then by proxy making people have to ask her for things or explain themselves to her by anyway. I've dealt with people like that before, so that's why that's how that comes off to me. And it's just like, girl, it's very clear what you're doing. I think Kristen was being the mature person there. And again, with the semantics, I actually felt Nia when she was getting really worked up when Jason and Janet said, we didn't know you before filming. Okay, did we all get cast on this show together? Yes. We know each other from this show. However, we did talk and know each other before filming started. That's why Nia is sitting there like, did I or did I not have you over to my home to meet our children? And they're like, yeah, but we had already casted for the show. Right. You guys met before filming started. You went to their house and started building a relationship because you were all going to be working together. That doesn't mean that you only knew them from filming. Like, oh my gosh. However, I made that point somewhere else online, and somebody pointed out that apparently there are old Vanderpump, I know there's old Vanderpump Rules episodes where Janet is in the background, but there are old Vanderpump Rules episodes maybe towards the end where Jason is around in like 2022, somebody said. Now, I thought that the first season of The Valley filmed in 2022, but I could be wrong. I don't know. There's this gray area here that I feel like everybody is relying on. You know what I mean? Technically, Michelle and Jesse were at Brittany and Jax's wedding. Like, everybody is connected in some way, shape, or form. It feels like with this new cast, right? Jesse, Janet, Jason, that they're relying so heavily on the truth being out there all the time, and that's not how life works, and that's for damn sure not how reality TV works, right? So maybe one season you catch a little bit of heat, but it's really not, like, you have to kind of wager if it is or is not that bad. If you ask me, had Janet and Jason come to this reunion being able to like bite the bullet on some things and be like, you know what, like, we argued about this, but I think there's a path forward, I would be like, okay. But even towards the end, Andy asked them, like, how do you guys feel about this reunion? And Jason's like, we wish some things would have gone differently. Bro, like, it's not a big deal. It's not a fucking big deal. Y'all, you got your point across. At least at the end of the day, you were not grabbing people's asses like Danny was. That's gonna follow him forever. Now, what's gonna follow you and Janet forever is that you guys are fucking insufferable. Insufferable. Like, very, very highly annoying people, right? Also, I found it very, very, very funny when Andy had to get Jesse together talking about the girlfriend. He said, this is a hot set. If she comes anywhere where my cameras and my microphones and my producers are, I'm going to tell her, get on screen. Right? Do you understand that? I said, oh, not the do you understand that? And guess what? Jesse said he understood. Because I know Jesse's been wanting to be on reality TV for a very long time as well. So he said, yes, sir. Yes, Daddy Andy. He didn't say yes, Daddy Andy. He actually looked quite pissed that he got that scolding, but I loved it. I enjoyed it. Again, I'm very interested to see where we go with season 3. I don't want to see. I can handle Sheena full time. I think I can handle Sheena full time. I don't want to see Lala. I truly do not want to see Lala. So... but like I said earlier, I want to see Brittany be held accountable a little bit more for her little messiness, because she definitely is messy, right? And I'm very excited to see Kristen be a mom. That's going to be very cute. I think that's going to be it on the last part of The Valley. Y'all, we're in a drought. We're in a reality TV drought right now. When I'm recording this, it is Wednesday, right? So tomorrow, Thursday, maybe when you're watching this, we will have seen the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City trailer. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I love those women so much. But besides that, the only housewives we have on right now are Orange County and Miami. And one, I don't care about Orange County. I really don't. Miami is doing this weird thing. They're taking it off of tonight and putting it on Thursday. So apparently there's a new episode tonight, Wednesday, and another new episode tomorrow, Thursday, which is very, very, very bizarre to me. What is going on down at the Bravo offices? Anybody? I don't know. That's going to be it for this episode. Don't forget to drop down in the comment section and let me know what you were thinking of this season of The Valley, what you want to see next season. And also don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to y'all next time. Bye.